well. People like Ali Soufan, who was the lead FBI agent, who forged unique cooperation with the Yemeni authorities. People like Sam Hassam, our gunny, not our gunny, he was our assistant defense attaché, but a former gunnery sergeant, an Arab American who, when we had something going wrong between the U.S. military and the Yemeni military, could go out, drink cups of tea, and find ways, practical ways of working around the problems, and they were very many. People like Boulos Malik, USIA, a legendary figure, someone who could come out and help us with the public diplomacy campaign, shaping our message, getting the kind of response we needed from the Yemeni people as well as the official Yemenis who were used to dealing with foreigners. So a big plus for Arabic language, and someone like Boulos, of course, WAE, when actually engaged. These retired foreign service people who have so many skills, who bring so much to undertakings like this, and are willing to deploy in these difficult situations. The second essential skill I try to exemplify is engagement. If you're sitting back in the embassy, if the embassy is a bunker, if you're not out in the field, if you're not traveling in the tribal areas, you're not succeeding. And I think one of the biggest concerns I had in recent years was to hear from friends coming back from Sana'a or to read that our people were essentially locked down in Sana'a and Al-Qaeda had managed one way or the other, or the government, because of sensitivities, in restricting that area of activity for us. If we are not there, if the Yemeni government is not there, we leave the field clear for Al-Qaeda. And finally, initiative. Many of the best ideas in Sana'a during my time came from other people. People like Bob Innes, who put together, who really gave life to the Yemeni Coast Guard. A young first tour officer like Kathy Wesley, who came from the National Democratic Institute and had all of those skills from an NGO that we needed when it came to supporting the elections of 2003. People like Ahmed Atig, who carried the weight of our development program before we had USAID on the ground. So you're really blessed when this kind of individual initiative presents itself, and it's very incumbent upon any ambassador or any management to recognize that and to foster it and see it that it gets the resources needed. So that's a summary of what's in the book. And with that, I'll stop talking and either listen to your comments or take questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, we look forward to reading the book, and I found very interesting the embassy's emphasis on the link between security and development. Of course, right now, given the current circumstances in Yemen, both security and development seem to be more at risk than ever before. I'd be interested in hearing your take on how you see Al-Qaeda in Yemen sort of taking advantage of the growing unrest and vacuum in Yemen or not.
I don't think there's much doubt that they will take advantage of this situation. Their theory of safe haven really is that they want parts of countries where the government is weak, where, on the other hand, tribes are strong, where weapons are plentiful, and in those areas they will implant themselves, and they will use that as operating space to recruit, to train, to propagandize. And we saw that before 2001 in Afghanistan, and it was such a graphic example that one of the major conclusions coming out of the 9/11 Commission report was that wherever Al-Qaeda sought to establish a safe haven, the U.S. should have a strategy to go against it. So what we've seen recently in Yemen is that the government has been withdrawing from these areas, bringing more and more security forces back to Sana'a. which means that al-Qaeda will naturally expand, find more territory, have more leeway, more maneuvering room to establish linkages with tribes and other supporters, and will come back, I believe, stronger than ever as a result of what is going on now. So this is one reason why the United States doesn't really have the luxury of letting events play out in Yemen and letting things drift. But rather, I think it's incumbent upon us to come up with approaches to try to drive a solution to this current impasse. And we can talk a little bit about what that can include if the audience is interested in that.
I gather we are very proactive in pushing the GCC to come up with a solution or an accord.
That's right. Ambassador Firestein has been actively involved. The Europeans have been actively involved as well. They're trying to come up with this deal that really allows Saleh to hand over power to a interim government and then have relatively elections in a relatively short period of time, and to, in return for that, assure Saleh that he will have amnesty and his family and perhaps some of his supporters. It's not working.
He didn't go to Riyadh to sign the accord.
He didn't go to Riyadh to sign the accord. I don't think Ambassador Hughes would be necessarily surprised at that. We're talking about a very, very cunning operator that is a master at playing parties off against each other at prevarication, at delay. I do think it is very positive that the GCC involved themselves and did come up with a plan and took that plan fairly far along, getting the opposition, the formal opposition, to agree to it, and Saleh to act as if he agreed to it. This is no small accomplishment, so I don't mean to dismiss this. But it's obviously not going to be enough. And so we're going to need to concert international pressure to go along with the domestic pressure that is already there. I think the mechanism which we may be able to use to get out of the impasse are elections in Yemen, because it's not generally understood that the Yemenis have a relatively sophisticated electoral system. They have a relatively positive experience with the elections, including the ones in 2003 for Parliament and the ones in 2006 for the President. That the political parties have confidence, a measure of confidence in elections, and that the Yemeni people themselves enthusiastically embrace and participate in these elections.